Welcome back to Off the Chart. We're here and ready to unpack episode 8 of Gen Q Season 2.
This season, we're once again watching the L Word Generation Q with you, bringing you our unfiltered take on the new series reboot every Tuesday because we still can't get enough of those LA lesbians.
I'm Erica Lenti, senior editor at Xtra, and I still have a meltdown every time I hear You Are My Sunshine.
And I'm Chelle Turingan, managing producer at Xtra, and I think I need to watch Love and Basketball.
Me too. Like, should we set up an extra viewing party, perhaps?
Yeah, let's do it.
There's something I need to tell you.
You told me to trust you. You gave me your word.
But you just have listened to me.
Listened? I tried to do something good.
Okay, Chelle, it was a jam-packed episode. As usual, what was the big theme you took away?
Well, I think that Alice said it best at her launch party when she said that she tells the people she loves that she loves them. So the theme to me this episode seems pretty simple. Honesty. With Bet and Pippa, Dani and Gigi, Alice and Tom, Shane and Tess, Micah, Maribel, and even with Sophie and Finley. No matter how hard it can be, just be honest and truthful with the people you love and care about the most.
Now, are we surprised it took 8 episodes to get here?
I guess not.
That's the L word for you.
Yep.
Okay, let's start this recap off with Sophie and Finley. Last episode, Finley was pulled over by the cops. And so this episode, Finley's getting bailed out of jail. She's gotten a DUI, or a Dewey, as she called it. Sophie doesn't think this is so cute anymore, and she says as much. After Alice's launch party, she comes home and she's like, Finley, today felt like babysitting you, which is not fun. A little yikes for these two. Not all sex and romance. So it feels like we're getting to some core issues here, Chelle. What did you make of all of this?
Oh God, it's becoming it's very heartbreaking for me because Finley was my favorite last season and she's been extremely difficult to watch in season 2. The writers seem to be really leaning in to like Finley's dopiness, which for some reason in season 1 we found endearing and charming, and I think that it was because it was tempered with these emotional moments and these breakdowns and where you see her struggling. But here in season 2, it's just like she's just all in on her drinking and we still don't really understand why. So it's hard to be empathetic for her.
You mad at me?
No, I just don't want to be near you right now.
Don't go, come on.
How do you feel about watching these two?
Yeah, the one thing I sort of noticed in this episode is that we're really seeing Finley not through Finley's lens, whereas I think with a lot of the other characters, we kind of get a bit of an inside view of what they're feeling and thinking. And we don't get that with Finley at all, which makes her a lot harder to empathize with just because we only see the destructive behavior. We don't see what's causing the destructive behavior. I think we've been seeing this since season 1. We've been wondering why she's acting this way. There seemed to be some implication that it's about her family or her religious upbringing, but we still have no resolution. And 2 seasons feels like a really long time to drag out someone's arc around why they're drinking. So Finley's character is really being left behind, in my opinion. And I think we just need to understand where she's coming from and stop just throwing her into bed with people. Stop, giving her all of these scenes with other people. Let's focus on what's going on with her. That's what makes her a lovable character. Chelle, do you think we're going to get to the root of that soon? Do you think they're going to leave us on another cliffhanger? What do you think is going to happen here?
I mean, we're already at episode 8, so they don't have a lot of time to address it. I mean, I like that Sophie has finally, that they're finally talking about it from some other character. At no point has anyone else ever called out Finley's drinking until now. So I guess that's progress. But I don't really know how they're going to wrap that up in 2 more episodes.
Yeah, me either. All right, let's move on to Bet and Pippa. So Bet is dismayed when she finds out that Dani has thrown money behind this art show at the California Arts Center where Pippa and some other Black artists are being shown. She's not happy. Angry Art Bet is back. So she actually threatens to pull Pippa and the artists from the show in an effort to get the Nunez money away from the CAC. But they call her bluff and they're like, sure, they don't have to be in the show anymore. Pippa is rightfully pissed off, and then Bet does something she never does. She apologizes. So nice to see. And then she gets Pippa hopefully back in the show. We're not too sure just yet. But Pippa's definitely endeared to that. So yes, the best scene of the episode, Bet screaming into the ether. All we needed was James back to, hand her a call, walk away awkwardly. Chelle, were you loving it as much as I was?
Of course. I love that, that Bet still found a way to talk about provocations. I think it's really funny. I think in season 1 of the podcast, when we were kind of trying to guess what might happen in season 2, we were like, maybe Bet will put on provocations too. I guess this show is kind of like that a little bit. I think it's really funny that they're bringing the CAC back. All these like little throwbacks are nice little pieces of fan service for OG watchers. That doesn't alienate new watchers either. Like they're not left in the dust if they don't get it.
But this isn't the end, at least I think, of this art battle, right? Like I have a feeling, you brought up provocations. I feel like we're going to be full-blown protests, provocations part 2. That's just my feeling. What do you think, Chelle?
Well, there was the scene near the end of the episode after Bet and Pippa make up and they're post-coital in bed. And I think Pippa says something like, is there a way to burn it down and still leave something standing? And Bet is like, maybe we can do it together. So what that looks like, perhaps it's a protest. Maybe they collaborate on a piece together. Who knows? But that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, either Bet will be screaming at art or crying at art. It'll be one or the other. Do we want to talk briefly about the humility that Bet is finally showing after like 5 episodes of being a bit of a brat to other people? I thought it was refreshing to finally see her apologize for once. You don't get that from Bet Porter very often, which means she must truly love Pippa's work and believe in her and believe in all the stuff she stands for. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I was really like, oh, finally a little less Scorpio Bet, a little more like, I don't know, what's an astrology sign that's a little more empathetic? I'm clearly not an astrology gay, but she was definitely a lot nicer.
She was, for sure. I picked up on that as well. I think, I don't know, like when things really matter to Bet, that's when she really comes through, right? Like when she, if we go back a little bit to like the therapy episode, she full on apologizes to Angie about her behavior, after she's had some time to think about her actions, she's willing to go back and apologize when it matters. Obviously, Angie is her world, so she would do that for her daughter. And so to see her do that for Pippa, would indicate to me as a viewer that like, well, Pippa then, must mean a lot to Bet for her to do something out of character. So I'm actually excited to see what will happen with these two. Especially as we're approaching the penultimate episode with Tina and Carrie about to get married and like, and Bet is now perhaps having this new relationship. Like, how is all of this going to play out in the next 2 episodes? We shall see.
I know they're going to foist to Bet down our throats somehow. They just won't stop. Okay, let's move on to Alice, who is having a big night in this episode. Her book is finally done. They're at the launch party, but she's feeling a little guilty because she slept with Nat a whole bunch in the last episode and didn't tell Tom. So she finally decides right before Tom goes on stage, of course, to tell him. He's hurt because she never clarified their relationship status with him. And then she goes on to read the most heart-wrenching chapter in her book to the room, Dana's chapter. God help us all. And then after realizing that, true love doesn't come along all that often, she goes to find Tom at a hotel room, and the pair make up and try to give it another go. So first off, we have to talk about Dana. God, was that ever depressing? I've been to a few book launches in my day, and generally they try not to read the most depressing section of the book and let people cry alone in their rooms. But I thought that it was like a really lovely tribute to Dana. What did you make of that?
I have to agree with you there. It was actually really touching to see Bet and Shane's reactions, because I would suspect that they haven't had a chance to read drafts or look at the book at all. So they're hearing this for the first time. And they seem to have a pretty emotional response to it as well. At one point, Bet grabs Shane's hand in comfort. It's just Dana is beloved to all of them and to all of us. I think it was like a really beautiful way for them to include this character that we all loved, that, time and time again, we've said should never have been killed off. And so it's nice that her favorite chapter is the one about Dana's, and that's the one she read from.
But no ghost Dana. We've been trying to manifest that. No flashback, no ayahuasca hallucination. I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
Maybe season 3, who knows?
Fingers crossed. But let's also talk about Alice and her relationships. So it seems like the Nat ship has sailed, which our viewers are actually pretty mixed on. On Instagram, most of you were like, let's not see Alice and Nat back together ever again. But on Twitter, it was like actually 50-50. Like some folks really wanted to see the pair together again. So we'll have to see what goes on. But I think that Tom and Alice seem to be the new ship. Chelle, how are you feeling about that?
I mean, I love it. I think Tom Walter Moultsby is adorable. As I've said many times, I am a Tom stan. He's of the right maturity and age. Like, he's a well-established editor. So he's got a career. Like, he's very smart and funny and witty, as is Alice. Like, it seems like a perfect fit. And I wonder if some of the reluctance to seeing them together is because it's a male and a female couple, to which I say that Alice is a bisexual. And, they even mention, Alice says that she hasn't been with a man since she's been in her 20s, which is like 20 years. So it's actually very interesting to see her navigate this in her mid 40s, right? Like, I'm loving it. And anyone who isn't down, get over yourselves. She's bisexual.
Yeah, and I liked that they sort of evoked a lot of conversation around Alice's bisexuality. She's talking to Tom and she's like, I haven't, as you said, I haven't dated a guy in a really long time. And he's like, the rules should be the same for dating a woman and dating a man. And she's like, oh, I guess you're right about that. And so I think they're definitely opening up a broader conversation on the show about bisexuality, about women who have relationships with both men, women, or anyone on the gender spectrum. And I really like it. I find it really refreshing and a lot more inclusive. This is not your mother's L word, I should say.
Not at all.
Are we that old? No. Okay, let's talk about Dani and Gigi. So, of course, as mentioned before, Dani decided to buy this wing at the CAC. She thinks it's going to help with the public image of her dad's company, but it backfires. So Bet is pretty pissed off. And what do you do when Bet is mad at you? You go have steamy sex with her ex. So she goes to Gigi's apartment, but then she gets a call from her dad and their lawyers, and she has to take off, and she ends up lashing out at Gigi, which is not fun. Gigi's not about it at all. So Dani decides to apologize with some expensive takeout noodles, and it seems to work. So these two are back on okay footing. Chelle, it's interesting to me. We've talked so much about parallels between Bet and Dani in season 1. Dani seems to be pulling a Bet in this episode and going hot and cold on Gigi. I feel bad for Gigi. Like, everyone keeps lashing out at her.
It's true.
How did you feel about all of it?
I think it's I wasn't surprised. I mean, Dani did the same thing with Sophie.
Yes.
She would be hot and cold with her, didn't want to talk about how she was really feeling. But what I love about these two is that like Gigi calls her on it, like, and not in a not in an angry way, like in a very kind of mature and tempered way. And then they talk about it, which is something we never saw Dani do with Sophie.
Yes.
And so it makes sense that, the 2750 beef noodles worked out as an apology, because that came along with like a conversation about it. They have a conversation about their fathers and, their fathers' difficulty accepting, their sexualities. And I thought that was really beautiful that they could have that moment together and that shared experience. So like I'm liking this ship because it just already off the bat it seems a little more communicative than Dani's relationship with Sophie. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I will say you're not alone in loving it. I am loving it. So are the viewers. According to our polls, like 88% of you all think that they are hot. And I agree. I think that they're doing great. I totally agree with you, Chelle, on the fact that they are actually talking about things. I think the beauty of Gigi's character has always been she's very open, candid, honest about all of her feelings up front. She doesn't have time for bullshit. She doesn't have time for just like pussyfooting around things. And so that forces everyone around her to be upfront about their feelings, about what they think, if they have issues. And I really think Dani needs someone who gives her that bit of a push, because Sophie wasn't that person. And that's not to say that it was Sophie's job to do that, nor is it Gigi's, but I think they complement each other in a good way. And that's part of why I loved Bet with Gigi, but Bet was not into it. Bet was not treating Gigi well. So bye, I guess. Make room for Dani, I guess. Okay, Chelle, back to your faves, Shane and Tess. So after hearing Alice read about Dana at the book launch, Shane is like, oh my God, I have to find Tess. She goes to Vegas and finds Tess at her hotel room and is like, I want you to be my partner. And then they have a lovely scene together and they wake up next to each other. Very cute. How dead were you, Chelle? Be honest.
Dead. I think you had sent me that wasn't a spoiler, but you were like, you're gonna like the ending show before I had a
Was
chance
I wrong?
to watch it. No, you were not wrong at all. It was lovely. It was everything I wanted for these two and more. It's nice to see Shane like finally like go after Tess after many episodes of her pursuing her. Like I know that we know that Shane is capable of it, so it's it's not impossible. And when she does truly love somebody, like we love to see it, we love to see Shane with Carmen. We loved to see Shane with Kiara, because these were women she truly loved and cared about. And it's clear to me that she truly loves and cares about Tess. And so like, I just thought this was really cute.
Yeah, I completely agree. My only caveat is like, how is Shane gonna screw it up? Because we've never actually seen Shane in like a successful relationship, like with all of her like very serious relationships. It's like, I don't know, Carmen, she leaves her at the altar. Kiara, it ends in divorce. There's still the poker game.
Oh my God, stop talking about the damn poker game.
I'm telling you, it's gonna come to something. It's gonna be the cliffhanger.
Oh my God.
I know it. I just know it.
All right, we'll see.
Okay, let's talk about Micah, who was absent in the last episode and is now back, coming in hot to a colleague's office to yell at her about a mishandling of one of his patient's files. But it turns out that Claudia, this coworker, is a no BS kind of woman, and she's like not having any of it. But they find some common ground, and it turns out that that common ground turns into flirting, and then Claudia's coming over for dinner. They end up cooking together. Things get a little too hot in the kitchen. Then they kiss. And Micah's like, wait, I can't. Claudia's pretty pissed off, rightfully. So like in no time, Micah calls Maribel, tells her he loves her. She loves him too. The ship has sailed. Chelle, these two seem to be moving at like some serious lesbian speed. I can't believe that they've already exchanged I love yous. And Micah wasted no time after Claudia to be like, Maribel, come over. What did you make of the whole scene?
Yeah, I mean, the apartment still smells like smoke by the time Maribel comes over. So yes, lesbian speed, very accurate. And I will say that, like, I think Claudia is an amazing character, and I'm a little saddened that like nothing will happen there. But maybe people should stop dating people from work. So that's okay with me. What do you think's in the future for these two, Erica?
For Maribel and Micah, I think it will be a lovely pairing. I really want to see Sophie interact with the two of them. We know that Micah is Dani's BFF. Maribel is Sophie's sister. There's got to be some awkwardness ensuing there at some point. It should be interesting to see. Like, Micah hasn't really interacted very much with Sophie through the course of the season, so I'm curious to see if that plays out in any way. I too am really sad that Claudia won't be around. Probably, I feel like Maribel and Claudia would make like such a kick-ass duo. They both are so no bullshit, like strong women. I love it. I could have seen Micah with Claudia. I think it could have worked, but alas, I think this is the end of Claudia for us for now. Okay, time for our favorite part of the podcast, the superlatives round, where we pick our best and sometimes worst, usually me, moments of the episode. Chelle, what was your pick this week?
Well, I don't have a worst because the best endgame sex scene goes to Shane and Tess. Finally,
Of course.
I am the captain of that ship. So it was so nice to see those two finally hook up. And it was pretty hot. Erica,
True.
What was yours?
Okay, I'm sorry. I have another worst. I promise I'll bring more bests later on. But worst outfit of the episode goes to Shane's Count Dracula getup. I don't know what was going on. It was like the black blazer over the red like satin shirt with the wide collar. She genuinely looked like they dressed her at Spirit Halloween.
I have to go see Tom.
I gotta call Pippa again.
Well, then let's go. Come on.
You guys want to do like a 1, 2, 3 cheers?
No.
Oh, okay, we'll do it next time.
I don't know. We said this earlier in the recording, like off camera. I think Shane might actually be a vampire. Like, I think that's why she's always out at night. She's always in those weird leather getups, but a vampire of the aughts, as our producer Lido said. So, but also our top comment of the week goes to Jag from YouTube. Jag said, "We needed that Alice Nat hookup only so we could have seen Gigi knock on the window, but they robbed us. They really did rob us. And I don't know if we're going to see any more Alice Nat scenes, but if they do, hopefully they do that for you, Jag."
Now, those were our picks from episode 8, but we want to hear yours. We read every single comment and message, guys, so please be sure to sound off in the comments below.
Okay, that's it for this episode. Tune in next week for episode 9. It's the penultimate episode. You know some shit's gonna go down. I'm Erica Lenti.
And I'm Chelle Turingan. Off the Chart, Generation Q is produced by Chelle Turingan. Our technical producer is Lido House. Our executive producer is Rachel Giza, and our music is by Kid Kulit.
Now, if you like what you're hearing and or viewing, please do all the things. Subscribe, like the video on YouTube, leave us a comment. We're also on Twitter at Xtra Magazine. Find us wherever. We want to hear what you're thinking. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.
My dog is... Sorry, Belle just came in and is licking my ankle. Belle,
what do you think? What do you think of the episode?
this is the straightest dog you'll ever meet.